Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are with the Eastern Iowa Orchid Society. Orchids is a Scream, coming up annually in October, like it always does. Nile Dusdieker, who is our orchid man about the country, joins us as he always does. But if you're watching the video, you see we have an additional special guest, a member of the Orchid Society, kind of now coming out for the first time as a member of the society. It's our own Ron Adkins.
Hello.
Great to have you both here. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
So before we talk, I want to ask Ron about coming into the club and learning about orchids. But before we do that, Niall, just quickly sketch out what the Eastern Iowa Orchid Society does, and also what's going to be going on at the Orchid Show.
Well, the Eastern Iowa Orchid Society is a small group of people with a big love of orchids. It's a very informal group, and we just have a lot of fun. We meet once a month, and we usually have some sort of an educational program. So we've been going for, since the early 90s at least, and it's been a lot of fun. We've had 11. This will be our 11th Orchid Show. And the Orchid Show it's not a moneymaker for our group or anything of this sort. It's just an educational, fun time for people in the area. It is 2 days, October 19th and 20th. It's a week earlier this year because of competition with the Hawkeye home game. But it is called Orchids Are A Scream. It has a Halloween theme. It's open to the public. It's free. It's handicapped accessible. There will be probably 400 to 500 orchids on display by orchid societies throughout the Midwest. Then there will be 3 vendors that sell orchids and 1 vendor that sells memorabilia. So there are things to buy if you want, and those, of course, are for the vendors. That's not for the society. But it's a great time. It's 10 to 5 on Saturday the 19th and 10 to 4 on Sunday the 20th. Also, we have sponsors, PepsiCo and Raining Rose, and they usually have some items for people as they leave as a free gift. And people will be voting for their favorite exhibit. We call that the People's Choice exhibit, which happens every year.
Ron, you have hung out with Niall throughout the years when he's come in to KCCK to talk in the fund drive and talk orchids and things like that. And somewhere along the line, you went from just listening to Niall talk a little bit about orchids to getting interested in them yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, it was last year's show that got me hooked. My fiance, Becky, decided that we had a Sunday off, and we decided we wanted to go and do something interesting. And we've gone and seen the orchids at
Knoll Ridge,
yeah. But we wanted to see a themed show, and Orchids Are A Scream. I'm a big fan of Halloween, so we went there and were blown away by the variety of the different orchids that there were. And they were all orchids. I mean, you think of an orchid as this tropical, fragile thing, and it's really not. And it comes in so many varieties, countless varieties, and I was just blown away. And then as we were leaving, Becky said, well, I think I want to join the Orchid Society. And then we found out, I said, sure, be happy to. And then we found out it was a little bit cheaper if we came in as a family. So I got into it. At the show, I bought my first orchid. It was a little tiny one that exists on air and the water vapor in the air. And it's mounted.
Oh, so you don't really have to water it.
Well, you got to spritz it every now and then, which is the lesson I learned because I promptly killed it. But I think I procured a full-size orchid that had just started to bloom, and I babied that one and got it going. And believe it or not, they took it to a show, and I got first prize.
And I brought the ribbon into KCCK studio, thinking, well, I'll either embarrass him or whatever, and it worked pretty well.
Yeah.
So okay, now you're hooked.
Yeah.
Now you own an orchid. Now you own a prize-winning orchid.
Yes. So now I'm in for life, and but also, the other thing that really attracted me, I'm always curious. I want to try and find new things. And some of the guest speakers that they would have, either there personally or virtually, were absolutely fascinating. And it's just a wonderful time. If you love learning something new, if you're a love of great beauty, they have show and tell, and members bring in their orchids. And one gentleman brought in this giant purple one that he had to mount on a A-frame ladder because it bloomed all the way down. And who knew, you know?
Coming in from the outside, you think of an orchid, we kind of have an idea of what an orchid looks like in our mind. But that is only just the teeny tiny tip of the iceberg.
Absolutely.
And there's all types, there's all types, as Ron is saying, and the vendors at the show will have common orchids, which are the Phalaenopsis or moth orchids, and those are the ones sometimes you can buy at the big box stores. They're okay at the big box stores if you get them when they put them out, but the problem is they don't necessarily stay watered or whatever, and they don't look as good afterwards. But those are there. There's going to be corsage orchids, which are cattleyas. There'll be slipper orchids, which are paphiopedilums. And then there'll be a whole bunch of just kind of unusual orchids. So if you're interested in buying some orchids, we encourage you to come early on Saturday. There's quite a rush.
Well, and of course, you have the Halloween theme, and I know a lot of the vendors decorate for Halloween. And there's that one orchid that smells like a decomposing corpse. That's the one I always think of when I think of Halloween.
That's a bulbophyllum. And the reason it smells that way is because it's pollinated by flies. And so they think it's delicious. And then there's a Dracula orchid, which I don't know that it looks like Dracula, but it's gotten the name of Dracula. And I don't know whether we'll have any of those at the show or not. That kind of depends on a fellow from Wisconsin that sometimes brings them down. But we're looking forward to the show. It should be a lot of fun. October 19th and 20th, 10 to 5 on the 19th and 10 to 4 on the 20th. No admission, it's free, and you could come dress up as Halloween if you want.
Dress is your favorite orchid.
That's right.
Ron, sometimes when you come into a special interest club like this, the group's a little insular, it's a little hard for new people to really feel accepted. You feel like an outsider for a while. Is that the case coming to an Orchid Society meeting?
They're very welcoming to new people. There have been several people that have come in after Becky and I did, and just welcome with open arms, and they've become part of the clique. I got to admit, sometimes the terminology got me. It was a little daunting.
Yeah, I can't even spell Phalaenopsis.
No. But you get used to it, and you come up with the nicknames for them, like Phalaenopsis is fail, things like that.
Well, like you said, Nile, you said the slipper orchid, the corsage orchid.
That's right.
There's, it's about what they look like to people. That's where the nicknames come from.
Well, Oncidians are dancing ladies. And they look like a Spanish lady with a big fluffy dress, That's kind of their shape. So, right. Now, our club is not a sophisticated club. We enjoy each other, and we have growers that have all different levels of expertise, and we share that. And we will have people at the show that will answer your questions. If somebody says, well, what is that orchid, or what is that? We'll be able to talk to them about that.
It's Orchids Are A Scream, 11th annual?
11th
Wow.
annual Orchids Are A Scream.
I think we mentioned the dates and the times. I'm not sure we mentioned where it will be.
Oh, yes. It is going to be at the Elks Lodge Hall on 33rd Avenue, just off exit 17, I think it is. It's a mile to the west of 380. It is a very lovely place, plenty of parking, the Elks Lodge Hall on 33rd Avenue.
If people want to find out more about the society or just, need directions and the times again, what's the Orchid Society website?
Eastern Iowa Orchid Society, all one word, .org. That's our website. And if anybody, on that website you can find my email, and you can send me an email if you like to. Email is niledusdieker@gmail.com.
Well, 11th year, I know it's a real fall tradition for lots of people, and a fall tradition for Ron and Becky.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Yeah. So you'll be there, I assume, hanging out?
Yep.
Hanging out, helping out?
Yep.
All right, great. We'll see you there. Well, great to have you both on, and hope the show goes well this year. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most weekdays at 10:30, on demand at kcck.org/culture, or subscribe using your favorite podcast player. Watch our videos on the KCCK Facebook and YouTube channels. Our producer is Lydia Kilgore. The Culture Crawl theme is composed by Vivian Shanley. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.